I'll invite her. Yeah, I'm good to that. And I'm gonna, I was just about to do that, to finish reading this. We're having Stephanie come up.
Good morning. All right, so I'm part of the Abundance Campaign team, and each week one of us is going to get up and talk about one of the 5 gifts. And this week we are on intention, which is one of my absolute favorite parts of life, is setting our intention and creating our life, referencing the slide up there, that we're co-creating our lives and that clarity directs energy, that intention shapes experience, and that we consciously create our lives by choosing thoughts, beliefs, and actions that align with our highest good. And so the challenge this week is to write and declare one clear intention this week. And so, I spent a lot of time thinking about what intention means to me and and creating my life. I'm really passionate about that we're all creating our lives. And I think my mother, many of you knew her, she was one of the most amazing people I ever witnessed creating her life. And I remember when I was young, she would say, we need a table in the kitchen or something. And the next thing you know, we had 4 tables in the house. It's like, okay, Mom, you overdid it. But I learned from her. I learned a lot from her in that aspect, and to trust and to have faith and to know that we're all co-creating our lives in connection with the divine. And I've had a lot of fun with it, actually. I've created a lot of things in my life that I wanted, and I created them intentionally, knowing that I'm one with the divine and I can create anything I want. And, I've also witnessed a lot of times, just like becoming the treasurer on the leadership council, I'll get a call to something, and this was a call to service to the center. And so I'm like, okay, I'll do that. And I put my name in the hat and became the treasurer and had no idea where it was going. So, one of my favorite stories in that connection with the divine is that I was trying to sell my house over on Cheyenne Boulevard. And we had quite a few showings. And the realtor kept saying, it's too noisy and it's too busy of a street, so a lot of people are not wanting to buy because of the noise. And so I'm like, okay, so I've been kind of playing with that in my mind, and I was actually doing a class, I was working on my homework, and one of the questions was, what do you want in your life? And I'm like, okay, I want my house to sell. And I thought, I'll take a little break, so I go outside, and as I'm stepping towards the door, I see someone parked outside the house. And so I kind of wave her up, and she comes up and she shows me her phone, and she says, I'm deaf and I want to see your house. She says, I'm just waiting for my husband. So he comes, and he's deaf too. And they tour the house, and they leave. And I'm like, okay, I got the message. I don't need to worry about selling the house. And 2 days later, we were under contract. So, I just love the creating your life piece. It just has so much power behind it, and it is where I'm really passionate about. And I really do think it comes back to what we believe and what we truly feel and our actions, and that all being in alignment. And so I look forward to our abundance campaign, and thank you.
Good morning. So I'm going to give you some additional information regarding the celebration dinner that's to be held on June 26th at 6 p.m. in the Celebration Hall. We will be celebrating this year's Abundance Campaign, which kicks off on Sunday, June the 7th. And I know this is going to disappoint a few people, but this is not a potluck. I know, it's okay. So all the food and drinks will be provided by the center. We're having a Mexican fajita buffet with chicken, steak, grilled veggies, rice, beans, guacamole, all the great stuff that goes with fajitas. and there will be lots of desserts. And also Ken will be playing piano for us during the dinner. So what we need for you to do is to RSVP so we know how much food to order. You have until June the 7th, but the sooner the better for planning purposes. And you can RSVP after the service in the Welcome Center, or you can go to the website, find the calendar, click on upcoming events, and then scroll down to the dinner RSVP. So everyone is invited, so please come and join in the celebration. Thank you.
I sing my love, I sing my love, I sing my love into the world. I sing my love, I sing my love, I sing my love into the world. I sing my love, sing my love, I sing my love into the world. I sing my love, I sing my love, I sing my love into the world. I dance my joy, I dance my joy, I dance my joy into the world. I dance my joy, I dance my joy, I dance my joy into the world. I dance my joy, I dance my joy, I dance my joy into the world. I dance my joy, dance my joy, I dance my joy into the world. I live my peace, I live my peace, I live my peace into the world. I live my peace, I live my peace, I live my peace into the world. I live my peace, I live my peace, I live my peace into the world. I live my peace, live my peace, I live my peace into the world. I sing my love, I sing my love, I sing my love into the world. I sing my love, I sing my love, I sing my love into the world. I sing my love, I sing my love, sing my love into the world. I sing my love, I sing my love, I sing my love into the world. I sing my love into the world. I sing my love into the world.
I can't sing while they're doing that because then I'm out of breath when I get up here, but good morning. Welcome to CSL Colorado Springs. My name is Connie Martin, and I'm a practitioner here, and it's my honor and privilege and excitement to welcome you all here. We are a loving community. We accept all people, all paths. So no matter what your lifestyle is, no matter where you've been before, just know you're in the right place today. Yeah. So do we have anybody here for the first time? If you would raise your hand so we can acknowledge you. Welcome. Our greeters are coming with a flower as a sign of hospitality. And they're giving you a little clipboard. If you'll fill that out and take it to the Welcome Center, they'll give you a little USB port card, and it'll tell you who we are and what we're all about, so that we can know who you are as you know who we are. So, children, would all the parents and grandparents, if you have children with you, please stand so we can acknowledge them. As we say our blessing, we bless all the children in our community and the world. We love all the children. We know the truth of who they are. Our children are unique expressions of God, and we are grateful to have children in our lives. And so it is. And now as the children leave to go downstairs and have some fun and learn who they are or remember who they are, I invite everyone to stand up and greet each other.
more time. Here we go. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the one. I can feel the power of love inside me. Feel the power of love. I can see the evidence around me. We are the power of love. And my eyes are open to the truth I now embrace. And my heart is open by spirit and by grace. I can feel the power of love inside me. Feel the power of love. I can see the evidence around me. We are the power of love. And my eyes are open to the truth I now embrace. And my heart is open by spirit and by grace. I can feel the power of love. Feel the power of love. I can see the evidence around me. We are the power of love. We are the power of love. We are the power of love.
The words of inspiration today are first from Ralph Waldo Emerson. To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is a greatest accomplishment. And by Rebecca Fox, to make a difference in someone's world, you don't have to be amazing, rich, talented, beautiful, or perfect. You just have to be you and care. And from our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, life is a mirror and will reflect back to the thinker what the thinker thinks into it. Pray with me. As we close our eyes and just take in that wonderful breath of spirit, filling our bodies with life. As I realize, trust, and believe and accept in the one power, the one presence I call God. I'm reminded of God as I look out into the beautiful mountain that lies before us, and the grass that is so green now and luscious, and the summer flowers that are coming into bloom, knowing that it is all good and it is all God. And it is in that goodness of God that I know that I am a unique expression of God. As I express God as only I can do, as are we all, unique in who we are. No one else is who we are but us. So as we begin our service this morning, I do so with a grateful heart, knowing that Reverend Michelle's travels are safe and she returns to us in a week, and knowing that all things in the service are handled divinely ordered. I bless the ushers and the greeters. I bless the musicians as they play and sing with the harmony of God within them, and the production team. I bless our office staff. I bless Reverend Christine. Oh, there are so many blessings to bless our children, those who are with them, sitting in that place of wholeness and truth and remembering and knowing and accepting who they are. And I'm especially grateful this morning for our practitioners, Andrea and Michael, as they deliver the message with their hearts wide open, knowing that they feel it, they believe it, they are it. And so it is with great gratitude that I lovingly release these words into the ever active law of mind, knowing what has been spoken, has been heard, has been acted upon, and is already so. And we ground this by saying together, and so it is.
My daddy wanted me to be an engineer. Yeah, to hear him talk, it was the only career. I should have known better than to try that path, 'cause I didn't like science and I hated math. Well, there I was living my daddy's dream, but making him proud was killing me. It took years for me to admit I was wearing shoes that just didn't fit. We all have our own road to travel. We all have our own light to shine. And it's been a long, hard lesson, but I've come to understand I was meant to be who I am. I gave 2 weeks notice and I called my dad. I said, There's a dream I've always had. Remember that piano I used to play? Well, I've been playing it night and day, and there's words and music pouring out of me. Some seem to think it's poetry. So with all my heart and the money I've saved, gonna give it my all, come what may. We all have our own road to travel. We all have our own light to shine. It's been a long, hard lesson, but I've come to understand I was meant to be who I am. Misery was all I got when I tried being who I'm not. The angels cheered from up above when I started doing what I love. We all have our own road to travel. We all have our own light to shine. Oh, it's been a long, hard lesson, but I've come to understand I was meant to be who I am. Yeah, it's been a long, hard lesson. Now even Dad understands I was meant to be who I am.
And now the introduction of our speakers. Practitioner Andrea Swett is going into her 11th year as a practitioner here at the center. Andrea is originally from Massachusetts, so there are times when she speaks funny because her Boston accent will return strong and she doesn't pronounce her R's. In words that have R's when she speaks. Her Boston accent can return anytime she speaks to someone from Boston, when she's tired, or when she's angry. So pay attention. And practitioner Michael Keter is going into his 19th year as a practitioner here at CSL. Michael moved to Colorado when he was 25. He discovered Science of Mind in 1986. He and Jeanette became practitioners in 2007. They both like camping in their camper van. Please help me welcoming Andrea first.
Thank you. Good morning. I know you all saw me take off my shoes, and so I will address that now. I am shoeless because I learned a while back that when I'm shoeless, my feet are touching the floor, the ground, whatever, and it helps me stay grounded. So therefore, I'm speaking from my heart instead of from my head, which can get me in a lot of trouble at times. So, we'll start by saying I moved to Colorado from Massachusetts in May of 1990. My decision to make this move came about in an unexpected way. I was working with a coworker, Betsy, who had planned her bucket list trip to Australia and New Zealand. And she had made plans for this trip for the 2 years prior. In that year, in 1989, that trip was going to happen in November. And now it was August, and she comes to work, and we are working together closely because we're both in the test lab, testing out the new software that we added to our software application. And I knew that Betsy was off. And finally I said, Betsy, what's going on? You don't seem happy. What's going on? And the gal burst into tears and told me that she had received a call from her best friend who was accompanying her on this trip, and they had been planning it together. And she had called her the night before to tell her that she had to cancel because some problems were going on with her family, and she needed to stay home and to support them. So Betsy was up all night trying to figure out how to salvage this trip. And she looked at me and she said, the only person I can think of is to invite you. And I was, whoa, I am very honored. But Betsy, okay, we're friends and we're co-workers, and we've gone to lunch together, and we've gone to dinner together, and we've gone clubbing together. But you're talking a 3.5-week trip away together, and we've never been away together, even one night. Are you sure? I am positive. Just go home and think about it and let me know in the morning. So I went home and I thought about it, and I was blessed and grateful that I had the funds that I could afford the trip. The only thing that I didn't have enough of was vacation time, so I thought, well, I'll just work with work and borrow some time from next year, and we'll make it happen. So go to the slide. Okay. There we go. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. There we go. So, yeah, and of course it's me with the clicker. I love this. Okay. So we leave on November 8th, and we go to Australia first. We fly into Sydney, Australia, and we catch a flight to take us up to Cairns. And I'm saying Cairns because the Aussies don't pronounce their R's either. So Betsy and I were in good company that trip. So Cairns is where it's up on the East Coast on the north side, and that's where the Great Barrier Reef is. So we got there, and we were up for like almost 40 hours by the time we got there, but we just kept going and going and going because the adrenaline was there with us. And we spent a couple of days there, and one of the days we spent the whole day out on a boat so that we could go tour the Great Barrier Reef and actually do a scuba dive. And that was phenomenal, just to get to see the reef and all. And the scuba dive, they put us in the they trained us enough what we needed to know in order to survive. And we got down to 40 feet, sandy bottom, and it was amazing to see that. So here's Cairns and what it looked like. And they have giant clams. I'm talking clams like you wouldn't believe it. On that one dive that I did, the mollusk, the clam was upright on its end, and it was this tall. And it was open this much. And inside the membrane was a purple color. And boy, did I want to touch it. I'm like, no, it's not meant to be. So I left it alone. And just to give you an idea, so that's a clam. It was phenomenal. It really was. And then we left there and we went to Alice Springs, which is the gateway city, and it's in the center of the country. It's gateway city to the outback. And we toured Alice Springs for a couple of days, and we picked up a rental car and we drove to Ayers Rock. And we spent the night there. And I can't see to read it, but I believe it's Uluru is where Ayers Rock is. And there's some hotels and motels and hostels and campgrounds and stuff, and that's where people stay so that they can tour Ayers Rock. And we went, that's Alice Springs and the outback. We drove there from Alice Springs, and then we caught a bus to take us to Ayers Rock, and we hiked up to the top of it and all. And then we caught a flight. We drove back to Alice Springs, and that's interesting to drive in the outback because you have to worry about kangaroos jumping across the road, along with cattle. And so we spent overnight at the hotel so we could get up in the morning and take the bus ride to Ayers Rock. And we were there. We got back to the hotel about 5 o'clock, and then we checked out, and we drove that night back to Alice Springs. And we had at least a dozen people kept telling us, be careful, because of the kangaroos and all. But everything was fine. It was all good. And we caught our flight to Sydney, and we were there for a few days, and we checked out tons of things. And then we took our rental car, and we went down to Canberra, which is the capital of Australia, which is south of Sydney, and then continued on to Melbourne. And then we flew out of Melbourne to Christchurch in the South Island, of New Zealand. And we picked up a rental car in Christchurch. And then we drove around, and this here is a lake that was near Mount Cook. And it's a glacier lake, and that's a turquoise color. The color was it blew us away. Our mouths were just wide open the whole time we drove around there on our way to Queenstown. Now, that is Queenstown, New Zealand. And that is an outdoor adventurous place with whitewater rafting and speedboating and skiing and all that. It's just an amazing place. We found ourselves in downtown Queenstown, and we got into this outdoor recreation place. We walked in, and they were showing videos of different outdoor activities that you could do. And one of the things that they showed, and I just walked right to the TV, and I just looked up, and I went, oh my gosh, I saw Willie Ames do this a couple of weeks ago on a TV show. And it was exactly the same place. He bungee jumped there in Queenstown, New Zealand, and we were in that place. And I'm looking up at that, and Betsy came up behind me, and she says, what are you doing? I said, look, that's amazing. She said, you want to do that, don't you? I said, yes, I do. And she said, how much is it going to cost? I said, well, I just looked at it, and I said, it's $50 US. And she said, you're going to pay $50 to somebody to tie a rubber band around your ankle so you can jump off this bridge that is a suspension bridge that's 142 feet high. Okay. So, this isn't my jump, but this is somebody else's jump. I couldn't find mine. So that's the bridge. Now, I do have a video, but I could not find it. It's in storage somewhere. And I stayed in perfect dive form when I stepped off the bridge. And for me, I bounced 7 times. And that first bounce, of course, is the highest one up. And as I'm coming back up, I'm looking around going, yeah, this could have been dangerous. Now, they could calibrate that bungee in such a way that you can enter the water, you can end up being 6 inches, your fingertips 6 inches above the water, any which way. And so they asked me, and I said, oh, I don't want to get wet because we got to catch a flight afterwards to the North Island. And as soon as they lowered me into that raft, now they did a perfect job because I said 6 inches, fingertips away from the water. And that's how I ended after I stopped bouncing. Well, then when they lowered me into that raft, that bottom of that raft is soaking wet. And I thought, well, I definitely provided them with entertainment fodder. So, yeah, that was quite the experience. So then we flew up to Auckland, and that's the North Island, and we stayed overnight, and then we spent the whole day. And we got to live that day twice because of the time change. So we were in Auckland, New Zealand, and spent the day on December 4th, and we landed in Boston on the morning of December 4th, which was pretty cool. And on the way back, on our final flight back to Boston, it was from San Francisco to Boston. Now this whole trip was a lot of flights. We flew on 17 planes. And at the time that we went, the Australian pilots were on strike. And so they were bringing in pilots and planes from other companies from other countries. We never knew if we were getting on a Yugoslavian plane, a Czechoslovakian plane, until we got there. But all went well. But on that last flight, I was feeling kind of off. And I was trying to figure out what was going on. And I thought, well, heck, you're kind of depressed because you're going back to the real world. You just had this amazing experience. And I thought about it a little bit more, and I thought, no, something else is off. I said, oh, I know what it is. Now, I was living in Massachusetts, and I was born and raised there, but I also lived in Maine for 10 years. And I had moved back to Massachusetts for my job, my first job out of school. And I said, if I had been able to stay in Maine, I would have stayed there. However, I chose a career getting a bachelor of science in computer science. I was living north of Bangor in a small town and had 1,500 people, so I really enjoyed living in a small town in that community. But computer science, the best job I could get, and the closest was Portland, Maine, so I might as well move back to Boston. But I'm in Massachusetts, and I'm there for my job, of course, my family, my friends in the ocean. But I don't get to see my family, friends in the ocean because I'm working all the time. So why not live in a state where I enjoy living, and go from there? So once I got home and got settled and caught up with my sleep, I took out the old-fashioned atlas map of the United States, and I looked at all the states, because at the time, in the beginning of my career, I was doing Department of Defense work. And so I looked at the map knowing where all the good companies and what those jobs were, and I crossed out California, D.C., Virginia, and there's Colorado right there. And I circled that. I said, that's where I want to go. Now, the irony about that was my first job out of school was with Ford Aerospace. They were based here in Colorado Springs. They hired me for a subcontract that they had with GTE in Massachusetts. So I had been out here a couple of times on business and really liked what I saw. Okay. The project ended almost 2.5 years later, and they invited myself and several other of my coworkers to transfer and move us out here. And unbeknownst to us, all of us, that we were being made these offers, but we all said the same thing: thanks, but no thanks. And in taking and talking with my coworkers, I figured out it was because we were typical New Englanders, and if we can't drive to New England for the weekend, it's too far to live. So I call my friend Sharon, who lived here in Woodland Park, and she actually worked for Ford Aerospace, and she was our contracts administrator, and she would fly out 1 week a month when I was on that contract, and we all became friends with her. And she was blown away that we all said thanks, but no thanks. Now, I knew that it was January of 1990, and I called her to let her know about the trip, but also to ask her, because I knew she was looking for work for herself. And back then, there was no web, no internet, nothing like that, so you had to look at the Sunday Gazette. So once she got over the shock that I wanted to move there, she said, "You got to be kidding me. It's 1990, the savings and loans are upside down, there's no jobs, blah, blah, blah." I said, "Well, it's January. Maybe in March, if you're still looking." I said, "There'll be something there, and maybe, in a couple of months later." I said, "But you know what I qualify for." So she calls me up the following week, there was 3 jobs. The following week after that, there was 2 jobs. I applied to all 5, and I was granted an interview by Martin Marietta in the middle of February, and then another company in 1st of March, Computer Technology Associates. And they flew me out, had the interview, and they both gave me an offer. And I chose to work with Martin Marietta, and Sharon she flew out, and we made it a cross-country vacation trip and did some sightseeing on the way. And I got here on Mother's Day, May 13th in 1990. And I haven't looked back since. Now, 20 years later, it's July 2010, and a friend invites me to join her to go to a service at Mile High in Lakewood. Didn't know anything about Science of Mind, Center for Spiritual Living, any of that, until went to my first service there. Now, something was attracting us there because we were leaving here at 6:30 in the morning to get up there at 8 o'clock service. And we did this for at least, the first 4 weeks. Now, the 4th week that we were there, I love people watching. Now, this is the sanctuary of Mile High, and I'm sitting in there, and I'm watching people get in and get seated in their seats, and I'm noticing that they're taking notebooks out. And I went, yeah, duh. These talks that I've been hearing the past few weeks, these are life lessons to take and apply to your life. So, of course, note-taking is worth it all. So I looked around, and I thought, you are at your best when you're in service of others. So why not become a spiritual practitioner? And that resonated with me. So started to check out the center here once I realized that there was a center here. And I just didn't connect with the minister at the time. And then the minister left and came a couple of times when they had guest speakers, but still, because there was not a senior minister yet, it made it hard to make that commitment. So I started taking classes in the fall of 2010 up at Mile High and made that commute. And I kept looking at the website here to see when they were going to be vetting new ministers. And finally, in January of 2013, on the website, they announced that they were vetting 2 ministers, and they shared the names. One was Reverend Norm Bouchard, and the other one was Reverend Jay Lang. And I knew of them and knew them both from Mile High. And I thought, it's a win-win. It's all good. And then Reverend Norm was hired, and then eventually Reverend Jay did get his senior minister position in Napa Valley. Now, when Reverend Norm got here, I transferred my membership, and I tried to find a picture of the front of our building, but I was having a hard time. That was the best one I could do. And of course, when he was here, we were in our old building on Janine, and I couldn't find an old picture of Janine. That's changed up a bit for the church that's there now. But anyway, when he got here and he got settled in, he started doing some interviews with folks who were into taking classes here and who wanted to become practitioners and all of that. And once he got a good understanding of where everybody wanted to go and what their paths were, he ended up designing and planning the education to be such a way that all of us that wanted to become practitioners, the classes were in lines for all those required classes could be taken, and we could start our practitioner training in 2014. And by him doing that, he actually, I believe, saved me about 1.5 years, which would have been happening if I'd continued doing this at Mile High. Now, when became a practitioner, my prac peeps, as we call them, and our classmates, we were on July 14th in 2016, we were up at Mile High doing our oral panels for our license, and we all passed. And that Sunday was our being recognized here by the congregants and Reverend Norm, and us taking our oath as well of being a practitioner. And that was a wonderful day. My feet weren't touching the floor. They really weren't. And that's us being honored and taking our oath and all. And as you can see, there's Carolyn, myself, and Deborah. And there's Linda Gleason behind me. And Connie, I think you're behind Carolyn, and that's Jennifer Wild there, behind Deborah. It was, I love being a spiritual practitioner because I am in my heart space. That makes all the difference for me because for my career as a software engineer, software developer, I was always in my head space all the time. And it gets tired. I get tired. It's such a different feeling to be in your heart space, and I love that energy. And so to be a practitioner, yeah, I just love it. What I love doing as a practitioner is the power of affirmative prayer, also known as spiritual mind treatment. I love shifting my focus from begging for help when I prayed as a Catholic to recognizing and aligning with the divine, acting as a powerful catalyst for positive change. It's such a big difference. And I love witnessing demonstrations. There's an immense fulfillment in seeing congregants, members, use science of mind principles to move beyond limitations and transform their lives. And then holding that sacred space, providing a completely confidential, non-judgmental environment where individuals can safely explore their spiritual paths, release limiting beliefs, and rediscover their potential. And my favorite spiritual practices as a spiritual practitioner is meditation, because it quiets my mind when I am grounded, and it puts me right in my heart space. And to experience that natural stillness and that spiritual essence within. And visioning. After last year, there was 2 classes, visioning classes being taught. One was in the afternoon and one was in the evening. And I attended the afternoon one as a student, but also supported both classes as tech support. And I had never taken a visioning class, but my gosh, it was powerful. And I learned so much. And it was wonderful to actually have somebody who's done visioning for a long, long time, and that's Renee. And to have her co-teach that with Michael in the evening, and just to hear her excitement and see her energy in that, it's contagious, and it was contagious. And then, of course, there's gratitude. After waking up in the morning, I write 5 things down that I am grateful for. And then when I go to bed at night, I do the same thing for 5 things that I'm grateful for that occurred during the day. And again, that puts me in my heart space. And then again, sacred service. I enjoy offering my time, talents, and energy unconditionally to uplift others and to help and to support. And I've discovered over the years that Spirit is always there to support me, to catch me, to lift me up. Whether I am bungee jumping off a bridge, facing a challenge in my life, or like now, seeking the perfect living space for myself. Thank you.
Hello. Get some of this stuff out of the way. So I started out as a child. In Florida, that is. I was part of a family of 6 kids, and we were a nice Catholic family. And it seemed like most of the families in the church were 6, 8, 13, 14 kids. So, you know, that was the place to be, I guess. But today I'm going to talk about what you don't know about me. How I got to Colorado. Okay. So my sister, Michelle, she's the oldest of the girls. She asked me to go to Switzerland with her. She had worked at a ski resort the year before, and she was going back for sure, and she wanted to know if I wanted to go with her. She said I would need about $1,200, and I said, yes, I would like to go. So I started saving my money, and in July of 1972, we flew from West Palm Beach, Florida, to Luxembourg, through Germany, and we took a train down to Grindelwald, Switzerland. There'll be a test later, so remember that name, Grindelwald. That was our destination. There's a great train system in Europe. I mean, if you're 2 minutes late, the train won't be there. The train will be gone. In Grindelwald, they had smaller trains that would take you up the mountains. And that was pretty exciting. They also had gondolas, they had chair lifts. And this is me talking not as a skier. I've never seen a winter before this. So we got there in September. It was just about winter time. So Grindelwald is about a medium-sized town in a beautiful valley. And when I got there, my jaw dropped because the mountains went straight up. And it was like I was looking at these 3 great big mountains up there. And it's like, oh my God, that's what mountains are. Okay. They seemed close enough to touch. And there were glaciers between the mountains. There were a lot of big hotels in town, and it was a pretty good tourist resort. The ski resort that we were going to work at was called Berghaus Sport. It translates to mountain house. That'll be on the test too. It would not open until November, and here we were in the latter part of July, so we had some time to kill. I decided to work in a Jewish hotel for the last 2 weeks of summer just to make some extra money. And my sister and I stayed at the local hostel. My sister and I then decided that we would go to Greece. So we took a train from Switzerland down through Italy to the very end of Italy. Then we got on a steamship and we went to Athens, Greece. Then we got on another ship and we went to Crete. And that was really nice. We found a little town called Matala. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but Joni Mitchell wrote a song about it. And it was a very pristine beach and a little town with maybe 6 or 7 buildings in it. And we lived in the hills above the town, so we didn't have to pay rent or anything. After 6 weeks in Crete, we returned to Switzerland. We had already been promised jobs working at Berghaus Sport in the kitchen with about 6 other people. These people were from Scotland, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the USA. Of course, there were some Swiss people there too. The local language was Swiss German. The tourists came from every country in Europe and some from the USA. I tried to learn the local language. I was good enough to order food or drinks off a menu, and I could carry on a short conversation with locals, maybe 5 or 10 seconds. Berghaus Bort was a 3-story Swiss chalet that had a deck around it. And there was a barn about 50 feet away. It was halfway up the ski mountain. And the chairlift passed almost right over the resort. In winter, the only way to get up there was on the chairlift. You couldn't drive up there. The restaurant, the dining room, the bar, the kitchen were all on the ground level. The workers lived on the second floor. We each had our own room. And any overnight guests, any tourists that wanted to stay overnight, they would stay in the dormitory on the 3rd floor. The ski run went right between the restaurant and the barn. The restaurant was only open for lunch, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we would stay open later if it was really busy. The food we ate was mostly bratwurst, schnitzel, potato pancakes, soup, and salad. And my sister made an awesome potato salad. We had breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the kitchen with the other workers. Breakfast would be around 7:30 in the morning. Lunch would be just before 11 o'clock when we opened the doors. And dinner was when we were done cleaning the kitchen. I wanted to learn how to ski. So I told that to my boss, and he said, "My brother works in town at a ski shop. You should go see him." So I go downtown to the ski shop, and I met his brother, and his brother was actually the owner. And his brother gave me free skis, boots, and poles. So I was all set. So each person that worked in the restaurant had 1 day off a week. And it didn't matter what day it was. I knew that my day would be skiing. So I learned how to ski over there in Switzerland. And that's where I spent my whole free day. And some of my friends already knew how to ski, so they would help me out. And sometimes on the night before our free day, we would get a sled and sled down into town, stay with some friends of ours. Usually our friends were other Americans that were working in other hotels or resorts, and we'd stay with them. So the winter season lasted from November through March. My boss asked me if I wanted to stay and work over the summer. He said he would give me more money. Yes, I could relate to that. There were lots of hikers that came up in the summertime, and they had a pretty good business in the summer also. So I said yes to working the summer season. I also said yes to working the following winter. So I was over there for 2 winters. I did come home between the summer and the winter season. So after I returned to Florida for good, I found the scenery very boring compared to Switzerland. No mountains. When I learned to speak Swiss German, I developed a different way of talking, and my friends noticed that, and they kind of backed off and said, "You talk funny." And I think Andrea went through the same thing. Some friends of mine were coming to Colorado for a short trip. And I asked them if I could go with them, and they said yes. So I saw Colorado mountains for the first time. And I remember what I saw in Grindelwald, mountains that went straight up. And I had to look up, and it hurt my neck at times. But in Colorado, the mountains were so massive, huge, just covered so much area. So as I was leaving Colorado, I looked back and I saw all the mountains, and I said to myself, I'll be back here. In September of 1975, I packed up all my stuff and moved to Colorado. My sister had some friends that lived in Cripple Creek, and this was September, so, it was the beginning of winter, and they lived on a ranch. They had no electric. They had, their heat was from a fireplace. They had an outhouse, and they had a spring for water. So, bare necessities. So they offered me 6 weeks of staying with them, and I said, sure. And after 6 weeks, I moved to Woodland Park. Electricity! I'd almost forgotten what it was like. In Woodland Park, I rented an old cabin on a hill, but it had electricity. So the water was kind of iffy at times. I got a job in Colorado Springs doing landscaping, but that was a drive from Woodland Park to Colorado Springs and up and back every day. That was kind of rough. I met a couple of guys in Woodland Park named Scott and Bill, and they had a construction business. And they offered me a job. And I said immediately, yes, I'll take it. So I didn't have to drive down to Colorado Springs anymore. They ended up being really good friends. They were part of the softball team, so they invited me to play softball too. Where's page 3? There it is. About a year later, I started working with a guy named Roger, who did remodeling. He taught me a lot about building and fixing things. And he was like family to me. He was contracted to build a log cabin in Heaney, Colorado. Heaney is on the west side of Green Mountain Reservoir. Anybody know that one? Okay, Green Mountain Reservoir is about 9 miles north of Dillon Lake. Anybody know that one? Okay. So it was up in the mountains. We camped for 6 or 8 weeks while we were building the walls on this cabin. And when we got the roof on, then we were able to move into the cabin and live in there, which made it a lot better. Now, we worked 5 days a week at the property. On the weekends, we came back to Colorado Springs or Woodland Park, and that was our rest and relaxation. We had to be on site again on Monday to finish the cabin. It took us 1 whole summer and half of the next summer to finish that 3-story log cabin. I ended up moving to Colorado Springs right down the street from Roger. It was during this time that I met my first wife, Carla. So I was living at 1330 Kiowa Street. There was these two ladies living 2 houses down, and I'd see them every once in a while. But then one day I was walking down the sidewalk, and they came out, and there they were right in front of me. Well, one of them was my future wife. So that was kind of like, oh my God, there she is. So we got married in 1982. We had 2 children, a girl, Erica, and a boy, Nicholas. We thought it would be wise to find a church that we could raise our family in. So we went to the Catholic Church on 21st in Colorado, and that did not do anything for us. So we ended up finding out about the Pikes Peak Church of Religious Science, and we liked it. And so we were members of the church. After Carla's unexpected death in the year 2000, the Pikes Peak Church supported me and helped me to move on with my life and 2 young children. I felt so much gratitude for the church that I volunteered for everything, and I signed up for all the classes. This is when I met Jeanette, my current wife. After a certain point, I was told I had taken enough classes to start practitioner training. And Jeanette and I decided to take practitioner training together. That was about 20 years ago. Now, I feel more connected to God than I ever have, and very connected to each one of the people in this community. I had a chance to know and connect with so many people over that 20 years, and each one of them made a difference in my life. And some of them are sitting right in front of me right now. So when you are yourself, when you live from your heart, when you live with love, when you live with curiosity, you not only make a difference in your own life, but you make a difference in the people around you also. And my favorite spiritual practices are the Labyrinth meditation on the first Wednesday of every month and visioning. So please join me in a prayer. As I breathe and relax into this space, I know that Spirit is right here with me. I know that Spirit is loving me unconditionally, regardless of what has happened, regardless of what I may have said. I know that Spirit is right there. I know that Spirit is continuously guiding me and supporting me in my life. I know the Spirit is giving me dreams and visions for all the things I can be, for all that I am, for all that I say, for all that I do. And I am so grateful for that. And right now, I know for each and every person listening to my voice that they are children of God, that God is giving them dreams and visions also. And I know that each and every person creates their own life through dreams, through curiosity, through positive thinking, and through love. And so right now, I know that this community is blessed beyond compare. I know that each and every person is filled with the love of God unconditionally. And I know that today is a blessed day. And so I am grateful for the blessings in my life. I am grateful for each and every person from this community in my life. I am grateful for Colorado Springs, for Grindelwald, Switzerland, for Berghausbord. I'm grateful for all that has ever been given to me. And so with that said, I release my words to the law, knowing the law always says yes. It is done. I get out of the way, I let it happen, and we say together, and so it is.
Am I strong enough to bear the burdens that sometimes come living this thing called life? Am I wise enough to make the right decisions when I'm standing at the fork in the road? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone, and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place.
Now is a time in our service where we give back to the community what it so graciously gives to us. But before we do that, can we please thank Michael and Andrea? That's what it's like to be practitioners. Oh. So at this time, we get to simply plant that seed of abundance, knowing that all of our lives are full, enriched, and rich. As we say our blessing together, I joyfully celebrate the flow of God through me. I am grateful for receiving and giving to my spiritual community. I give thanks, always knowing God is my source, and so it is.
Mother, mother, there's too many of you crying. Oh, brother, 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 there's far too many of you dying. Oh, you know we got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Oh, Father, Father, we don't need to escalate. You see, war is not the answer, and only love can conquer hate. You know we've got to find a way to bring some love lines,
sister,
and picket signs.
sister,
Don't punish me with brutality.
sister,
Come on and talk to me
sister.
so you can see what's going on.
What's going on?
What's going on?
What's going
yeah,
on?
what's going on?
What's going on?
What's going on? Mother, mother, everybody thinks we're wrong. Oh, but who are they to judge us? Simply 'cause our hair is long. You know we've got to find a way to bring some understanding here today. Oh, picket lines,
Brother,
and picket signs.
brother,
Don't punish me with brutality.
brother,
Come on and talk to me
brother.
so you can say what's going on.
What's going on?
What's going on?
What's going on?
What's going on? I'll
going
tell
on?
you what's going on. Mother, mother, we don't need to escalate. You see, war's still not the answer, for only love can conquer hate. You know we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Oh, picket lines,
Mother,
and picket signs.
mother,
Don't punish me
Mother.
with brutality.
mother,
Come on and talk to me
mother.
so you can say
Mother.
what's going on.
What's going on?
What's going on?
What's going
Tell
on?
me what's going on.
going
yeah,
on?
what's going on? I'll
going
tell
on?
you what's going on.
What's going
yeah,
on?
what's going on? Oh.
Let's give it up one more time for our all-male review. Okay, where am I? I have a lot of scripts up here today. So at this time, I'd like to call the practitioners forward, all of you. We already have some up here. And Reverend Christine, thank you. So we've got to hear a little bit about what brought our practitioners into being practitioners, the changes in their lives, the adventures they've taken. I didn't know any of that about them, but that's kind of exciting. And they're here to offer prayer support every Sunday or during the week. They're here to let you know how much they love you, how much they appreciate you. And that also they hold you in that high consciousness of who you are. Because even when we forget, I do sometimes, they remember. Because they only see the truth. So now we'll go into our gracious giving.
is when we donate money to a charity that someone in the congregation has nominated. And so we'll find out who today's winner is. Okay, the name of the charity is Victory Service Dogs. And Victory Service Dogs support veterans, first responders, and children with disabilities by providing loving service dogs to enhance their quality of life. And this was nominated by Jan Babb. Thank you.
So as we go out from here today, many blessings, much love, and may you create an amazing day. Now we'll do our closing song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that is meant to be. With God as our center, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth,